All the time, people ask me, what do you learn at Scouts that you can't learn at school? Well, quite a lot as it turns out. Scouting isn't just for its own sake. We don't scout in a bubble and it's not all fun and games. Scouting is educational, but super importantly, it's non-formal education and learning.
What we strive for in Scout, to become our best selves, be better leaders, and develop our character in ways we can use anywhere in life, even at school, uni, and in our job.
Formal education, like you get in class, focuses on core knowledge. It probably involves a lot of set assignments and grades. Doing these things are an important part of learning in schools and other formal education settings. But non-formal learning has a role to play in our lives too.
Non-formal education, developing soft and hard skills, can still have clear educational outcomes, but these can be achieved through less structured experiences. It's good old-fashioned learning by doing. The purpose of Scouting is the development of young people. Our program is built to contribute to the education of young people, alongside and coordinated with formal education.
Non-formal education, the kind that we do at Scouts, can mean the difference between just getting by and thriving. At Scouts, we learn that we're part of something bigger. We learn from each other and our collective knowledge and skills continually grow. This is key to why we exist as a movement.
Although we think of the Scout program as non-formal education, there are pathways to formal recognition of a Scout's personal development, particularly through vocational and educational training qualification. The founder of the Scouting movement, Robert Baden-Powell, conceived a program with a holistic view of learning for young people to focus on life skills crucial to a person's success. More than 100 years later, our founders' insights have proved valid. The movement's essential characteristics remain the same, but the needs of young people have changed. So, over time, our program has changed too.
At Scouts, we learn teamwork, resilience, leadership, independence, goal setting and more. Must-haves for life in the modern world.
So, in the 21st century, every Scout engages in the Scout method, an educational approach to how Scouting activities are run that is proven to develop children, adolescents and young adults in the holistic way that Baden-Powell originally conceived.
In the past, we've seen people drop out of Scouting because they didn't understand the purpose of what they were doing or how it connected to their own lives. Therefore, when we move through the program, we must always connect back to the purpose, to contribute to the education of young people in achieving their full physical, intellectual, emotional, social and spiritual potential as individuals, plus as responsible citizens and as members of their local, national and international communities. This progress tracks along the 6 dimensions of a person's character. We remember these using the initials SPICES: social, physical, intellectual, character, emotional and spiritual development.
This is why it's so important for that purpose to be front and centre, and for the personal growth and progression of those youth members to be recognised and celebrated. The Scout method also needs to be front and centre, the unique approach that we take to learning through Scouting and what really sets us apart from other activities and educational settings.
As Scouts, it's up for us to set goals for ourselves. Through what we do, we will progress in each of these development areas. The purpose focuses on individuals, and it's why our achievement pathways are so important to be individualised and adaptable for each of our own contexts and personal bests.
Yeah, just being able to spend time with friends and make new friends and just do things that we wouldn't normally do.
Yeah, and I'd like just for new experiences that you may only get once or twice in a lifetime.
Just being out in the wilderness, finding new stuff, learning new things, Like, this is the first time I've done this, so that was learning something new, something that I never did before, and it's so fun.
When you actually go to Scouts, it's like people are here to do it. People are here because they want to be here. They're not just here because they have to go to school camp.
Well, I find it quite nice to just be able to like teach people how to do things, and it's nice to know that you're helping people.
Well, it's just like, it's so different. Like, where else do you have a camp with 5,000 people? Like,
It's so important that Scouts think about their purpose, why they're doing what they're doing. That way, Scouts can come up with new activities and ways to grow and challenge themselves and others. They reflect on this growth using the SPICES.
Our purpose and mission talk about our place in the wider community. Scouting's not just about personal development, but personal development so we as young people can be responsible and active members of our communities. So, it's also about acting globally and making a contribution to creating a better world.
As Scouts, we're encouraged to reflect on where we're growing, where we're not growing, and how to improve according to our own goals. We also reflect on what we've done, the activities and experiences we want to do again, and the new things we would like to try. If we've done it before, it's about the next challenge, a step up from last time. If it's something new, we can consider what we gain from it and reflect on what we have gained.
And we're extremely passionate about critical thinking. We don't want to be too prescriptive. We want Scouts to explore for themselves, because only by taking responsibility, developing agency, can you truly become a leader. This is from Joey Scouts Up.
Goals differ between individuals. That's why our special interest areas focus on Scouts setting personal goals rather than working from a pre-set list. At each milestone, Scouts are encouraged to reflect on their development and consider how it ties in to their larger purpose. Every age section of the program lists separate educational objectives, and they're broken up in categories according to the SPICES, covering things like emotional awareness, identity development, and social interaction.
So we've talked about the what, being the activities that we do, and the why, led by the purpose of the Scout movement. But what about the how? Enter the Scout method.
The Scout method is how we do Scouting and what makes us different from other organisations.
The Scout method is basically the 8 key ideals that we all look to. Kind of like the Scout Promise and Law, but it's more of a general oversight for every specific element in Scouting.
Activities you do at Scouting you can do elsewhere, but what makes Scouts special and what keeps people coming back is the Scout method. The way we do things and how we learn from these experiences.
We learn by doing, by giving ourselves the space to try new things, see how they go, and then reflect.
Learning by doing is not rote learning. It's not about being given knowledge. It's working something out, ideally in a real scenario. Navigating on a bushwalk is a better way of learning to find your way than sitting in the hall watching a talk on contour lines and true versus magnetic north.
The Scout method is brimming with opportunities to learn specific skills like paddling a canoe or speaking in public, as well as soft or universal skills like brainstorming with peers, motivating groups or supporting friends. All skills that will be essential for the future lives of our youth.
The Plan, Do, Review cycle guides Scouts through learning by doing. Sometimes, you just have to have a crack at something new. Give yourself the space to succeed or otherwise fail and take the time to learn from the experience.
At Scouts we work in small teams with peer leadership, the patrol system.
Using the patrol system helps us manage our unit and do things like goal setting, program planning, solving problems, preparing for unit camps, supporting transitions from one section to the next, working on projects, and developing social connections. It's amazing what can be achieved when the patrol system is used the right way.
Standing back and just watching a patrol, it's amazing to see the scenarios play out. Diverse teams solving problems in ways you don't expect. More experienced Scouts rising to the challenge and leading and helping other Scouts. This is what a patrol can achieve.
At Scouts, we assume responsibility gradually and become leaders. Youth leaders, with adults around to support as only as much as we need them.
It's so exciting how much youth leading, adult supporting has become central to Scouting. Of course, this looks different for each age section, but we shouldn't underestimate the capacity of young people to lead.
It's not about adults sitting to one side and hoping nobody gets hurt, but it's also not about adults planning and running every activity. We need to be able to learn from when things go wrong.
The role of the adult changes, but the principle remains the same. Just because you had to talk a Cub Scout through every step of an activity 3 months ago doesn't mean you'll need to do it today.
At Scouts, we use symbols and metaphors to explain and help us connect to abstract ideas. This is called our symbolic framework and has been broken up into 3 tiers to help us all understand it and use it well.
Think of wearing a necker or scarf as something well known about Scouts, and that's an example of symbolism in our framework. But it goes all the way down to the unit and patrol, where Scouts develop a sense of identity and belonging through symbolism.
We commit to our own unique code of what's right, the Scout Promise and Law. Scouts are down to 3 principles that make up the Promise and Law. These duties guide the whole Scout movement, inform decision-making, and shape the ideal behaviours and actions for all our activities.
The meaning of the Australian Scout Promise and Australian Scout Law can evolve and change as a Scout gets older and journeys through the program. We reaffirm the promise we make on special occasions, like welcome ceremonies and transitions. Overall though, Promise and Law, our sense of duty and responsibility, they shine through in everything that we do.
Also, key to the Scout method is the idea that nature and the outdoors is the ideal setting for learning. Scouting provides the opportunity for young people to learn about and connect with the natural environment, to recognise the need to preserve and care for it.
We all know that time outdoors encourages the natural curiosity in kids and young people. Time in nature builds positive physical and mental health and provides an interactive and stimulating learning environment. It's fun as well as productive.
Our symbols help us engage with the themes of our activities, the ideas we all have in common. They promote adventure, challenge, and a shared understanding.
As Scouts, we stay active in the communities we belong to and try to understand the experiences of others. We aim to be bigger and better than just doing community service.
We don't just do Clean Up Australia Day. We find ways to be better leaders in the community for this annual event. We want to be seen, to understand the people around us, and to provide meaningful support and leadership in the community.
We take part in activities like local elder visiting, leading and participating in Sustainable Development Goal, SDG, inspired projects and service projects, all with the goal of making a difference to create a better world.
Finally, everything we do at Scouts is about pushing our comfort zones, personal progression, our ultimate purpose and mission. We push ourselves, reflect on our progress, support one another, support our success and each other's success. A key support to the Scout method and what we see in it is all that we do is plan, do, review.
For every Scout, outcomes are best when that individual knows what they're doing and why. And it embodies the Scout method, from Joey Scouts to Rover Scouts. That is why review and reflection are just as important as the planning and doing.
These are the elements that make up the Scout method. No one element is more important than the other. Take away just one element and it's not Scouting anymore. One program, one journey, and the Scout method is what moves us on the path